Hello, good evening, and many thanks for joining me. This is Business Live. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Wiafe, and in this edition, coming up, economist Professor Peter Quarty criticizes the current contribution to GDP of Agric, saying the development is not good for the economy. Managing Director of the Tema Oil Refinery, Kwame Wadako, says company's current expansion and maintenance works would help refine more than 7 million barrels of crude oil next year. And Newmont Mining Company outlines measures to tackle illegal mining activities in the 2017. These and many more coming up on this evening's edition of Business Live. Don't go away yet. We're coming back in a jiffy. Thank you for staying and welcome back to the program. Now, in a very fair story, the Tema Oil Refinery, TOR, has refined about 7 million barrels of crude oil since it resumed production this year. Delivering his end-of-year message to the staff of the company, Managing Director Kwame Wadako noted the company's current expansion and maintenance works would help improve further on this performance. Ebenezer Sabute has more in this report.
The Tema Oil Refinery, Ghana's only crude oil refinery for the country, resumed production after some inconsistencies the company encountered. Apart from this, the managing director, Kwame Wadako, says 2016 has been very fruitful for the company despite the many challenges encountered. He said TOR had so far refined 7 million barrels of crude when it began production again in 2016.
If anybody had said that TOR will refine 7 million barrels and would have an extra 1 million barrels of 10 crude sitting down to wait, nobody would have believed us. The plans the company has in place is to make sure that 2017 February we go through our turnaround maintenance. And because of the expanded capacity we now have, we are planning to do between 16 million barrels to 18 million barrels of crude oil processing in 2017.
Kwame Wadako urged the workers to support anybody who appointed in his place as the new managing director for the benefit of the state. He noted there is still work to be done in order to improve upon the success of the company.
There's still a lot of fragility and there's still a lot of work to be done. I'm also very sure that this will be the last time I address you at Christmas as your managing director. And change has come. And when change comes, we must all support that change and work accordingly. This is the beauty and the strength of the Republic of Ghana. It is a country which respects its laws and above all, which respects the will of the sovereign people of Ghana. And sometime, I don't know how long it is going to be, but you will have the pleasure of being introduced to a new leader. I beg you, I pray, I urge that you give that person all the support, all the commitment, and even above what you have given me. Because that is what will make this company great and will make this company strong. And that is what all the people of Ghana want, I can assure you.
Meanwhile, the company has taken delivery of 1 million barrels of crude from the Trinidad, Enra and Ntome 10 field waiting to be refined.
The value of goods and services produced in the country for the third quarter of this year has witnessed a significant increase. The Ghana Statistical Service figures for the year-on-year quarterly GDP estimates has shown a 4% growth for ending September this year. Deputy Government Statistician Ban Wadie explains the key drivers.
Main drivers for the growth were from the construction subsector, the transport and storage subsector, information and communication, and public administration. We also recorded growths for the mining and quarrying subsector, and these actually accounted for the growth that we recorded. The year-on-year quarterly growth rates that we've been recording are not very huge. So a growth rate of about 4.0 compared to 3.5 the previous quarter is quite important. Even though we've mentioned generally that mining and quarrying subsector recorded increases, the production of oil from the 10 fields and the repair of the SPSOs also contributed to increases in the oil output, the crude oil output. And these actually accounted for the increase that we are seeing. Apart from that, we mentioned that imports of cement, which is an indicator for activities in the construction sector, also increased. In fact, we recorded over 100% increase in the imports of cement, and that is quite substantial. And these also, so when we look at the general growth for the construction sector, we recorded something in the neighborhood of about 16.3% as compared to the same period last year.
Now, the estimates also show the Agric sector has overtaken industry as the second biggest contributor to the economy. This means Agric now accounts for almost 25% of the economy, followed by industry with 23% and services with 52% in terms of sectoral distribution. The challenge came about as a result of the substantial decline of the manufacturing sector. Economist Professor Peter Quartey says the development is not good for the economy.
Well, if judging by the numbers, particularly the subsectors that are driving this growth, I wouldn't say we are picking up because it's construction. So what happens if after the elections some of these construction activities are not in place? Then of course our growth rates are going to slump. But fortunately for us, I believe the new oil find and the productions are going to rake in more revenue. So we are likely to see higher growth numbers than before. But otherwise, had it not been for this new oil revenue, that likely oil revenue we are to expect, judging by the numbers, is not encouraging. We cannot make sound judgment or projections based on what we are seeing now.
But Prof, some will also say that there's always been this concern about jobless growth and real growth and all those things. Is this still a problem that we are facing as an economy, or we are coming out of that, or we are still having that problem?
Yeah, we are having that problem. We are growing. Unfortunately, we are not growing as much as we should. We should be growing between 8 to 10%, looking at our unemployment figures. But then even with a little growth we are seeing, we are growing in the areas that do not employ so many people.
Nana Osei Bunsu is the Chief Executive Officer of the Private Enterprise Federation.
Industry is not going anywhere. Ghana industrialization is not going to materialize unless we look at agriculture. Agricultural raw material base is what is going to feed industry. As a consequence, light industry like light equipment and all can be produced. So unless we turn around and look at agriculture as the go-to and lead institution to move us from where we are into industrialization, we're going to just dance around. Services are overtaking everything because the other parts, as I said, agriculture, should have moved to the level where it can influence, agriculture employs 44% of our population. If you have that quantum of people depending on that sector, I think you will take a look at that sector as a go-to institution, factor in everything that needs to be factored in: mechanization, low-cost funding, farm management, technical skills, and all the other things, irrigation. We shouldn't have one-dimensional seasonal in agriculture. So if we do all of that, the excesses that we produce are now going to go into canning, into processes, and those are manufacturing. They will definitely influence industrialization, and the manufacturing are going to now take over from the services. Services are going to be there, but services are going to be at the peripheral to influence or to take advantage of what is being produced in the agriculture and the industrialization sector.
And some also sometimes want to blame your members, saying that you are the people who go out and import these things rather than manufacturing them in the country.
We have people with different understanding of what it takes. No country can do without imports. But the fact that the import is costing less than the home product, it encourages people to go out and bring in. If his import is going to cost more, based upon the productive capacities and the low cost of funding here, then he will definitely not turn around and go out. He will turn around and merchandise.
Now, beginning February 2017, businesses that have failed to renew their records and file their annual report at the Registrar General's Department would face the necessary sanctions. This is one of two major provisions in the Companies Act the Registrar General started enforcing last October. It, however, extended the deadline for businesses. There's more in this report.
The Registrar General offered a 3-month reprieve to defaulting companies after it began enforcing the relevant law, which stipulates a fine of 300 Ghana cedi after each day of default, in addition to a 50 Ghana cedi fee. This was to ensure the records of a lot more companies operating in the country are captured in the new electronic database. This means businesses have up to the end of January 2017 to comply with the provision of the law or face the necessary sanctions. Businesses, especially sole proprietorship entities that do not renew their business names, will have their business names rendered inactive in the electronic database from 1st February 2017. This means such enterprises would not be able to make any changes or update any records on their business names. According to the Registrar General's Department, this is its final warning to businesses that have failed to renew their records and file their annual reports.
Now, 2016 has been a challenging year for Ghana's mining sector. The uncontrolled activities of illegal miners have not only taken a toll on the operations of the mining firms, but also resulted in the loss of some lives in the course of the year. It would be recalled that communications manager of Anglo Gold Ashanti lost his life earlier this year as a result of a confrontation with illegal miners on the company's concession. Senior Vice President of Newmont Mining Africa Operations, Alvin Pretorius, has been sharing some initiatives his firm is undertaking to forestall any such nasty incidents moving into 2017.
Saying that we need to look at the problem holistically, and we have to find a solution for illegal mining with all the stakeholders in the country. That's the mining industry, with government, and also with the community surrounding these mining areas. For me, one of the core issues when it comes to illegal mining is unemployment that leads to people getting involved in illegal mining. So as Newmont, through our apprenticeship programs and also our localization programs at the mines, we're providing a significant amount of jobs at our mines, and also with our contributions through our development foundations, we've created further job opportunities, and we're enhancing the business sector also around the communities and also the infrastructure. it is important for us as one of the leading mining companies in Ghana that there's certainty with regards to the future, and that our lease areas are protected, and that also our rights are honoured when we operate in country. So, in other words, we would like to have support from government also to keep illegal miners off our lease areas, and likewise, I think all other mining companies do want that as well. We are working with other mining companies, and we are supportive of the government in whatever role they want to take up and strategy they have with regards to illegal mining.
This is on Business Life. Moving on, the Technology and Development Transfer Center of the University of Ghana has held its first exhibition workshop to showcase innovations of its students. Items displayed include preservation systems, insulators, and irrigation technologies. The workshop aimed at building the capacity of students to help reduce the rate of unemployment in the country. Here's more in this report.
The maiden edition of the University Workshop saw students interacting on ways to remain relevant in Ghana's competitive job market. A resource person with the University of Ghana Technology Development and Transfer Center, Professor Richard Boabe, noted the workshop forms part of efforts to publicize research works conducted in the university as a way of engaging industry players and restoring SMEs' confidence in new graduates.
The country that you are in, you are supposed to make sure that you have an impact of the work you are doing in your university, especially being a leading university like University of Ghana. So we set up the Technology Development Transfer Center through the support of government, and what we have been doing so far is to help faculty and students develop technologies and make them available with industry. Okay, so let's say we have 5 student projects here. Each student project here averagely has a group of our 3 students. So that's direct employment for 15 students. And if the 15 students go out to the market and they develop their product, there is a chain of other value-added services that may come on board, like even the mobile money I was talking about. Now, that could also have a ripple effect. That could also go, if maybe multiply. So if you look about it in the next 5 years, even if we're employing 15 students directly in the work, and we keep employing 15 students every year, then you means that you have about 5 times 15, that's 75. But that's the 75 that concretely we can say that we are giving jobs to. But then there are other value-added services that may come onto that job that could multiply beyond the hundreds. So I can say that maybe give and take, being a mathematician, being an engineer, I would say that we could actually have an impact to about 500 students.
A participant and graduate student at the University of Ghana, Gideon Dento, says the initiative has enabled him start a shoe factory with the help of recycled materials through a recycling technology.
When you take this shoe, for example, the sole is made from discarded mining belt, and this is from a very old clothing that you think you cannot wear again because it's faded, and this is from old jeans, all right? And this sole bear too is made from waste material, but just to add certain things to it to make it very strong, we buy other new things to make the whole thing solid. The concept is to make, in the near future, get 100% recycled materials shoes, but for now some of our shoes are just, let's say, a percentage, let's say an average percentage of 50 to 70% recycled material. For this shoe like this, the sole is just made from recycled mining belt. They saw the need to involve all students who've come out with innovative ideas, and I was contacted because the idea was innovative, just trying to make sure we use waste to make something new. So that was the reason for which the TDTC contacted me.
The maiden event was made possible under the auspices of the World Bank through the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology a couple of years ago.
Transport companies usually experience a business boom during the festive seasons due to the surge in travels by holiday makers. Already, traders and print industry players, among others, in various sectors of the economy that usually cash in on the Yuletide, have expressed mixed views about this year's Christmas business. So how about those in the transport business? The station manager of VIP Transport Company in Accra, Eric Botwe, has been sharing some views with Joy Business.
The festive season is normally peak business periods for many businesses, and transport companies are not left out. While international travel surge, domestic travel by road also moves up significantly. The bus terminals are normally busy as people rush to catch a means to various destinations to celebrate the Yuletide. During a visit by Joy Business to the VIP transport terminal in Accra, business station manager Agric explained the impact of this festive season on business in the transport sector.
In fact, 2016 we had some serious financial problems that we went through, especially during the election period. This year has been higher than the previous years. I think starting from last week, Friday, in fact, we started experiencing higher number of movement. So it's higher, at least about maybe 40% higher than that of last year. One, in fact, we have more non-working days in this Christmas. So a lot of people, especially workers, they travel a lot.
He said although businesses had slowed down in the past 2 days, it is expected to pick up again right after the New Year holidays end.
Normally it slows down, but getting to the New Year, and I'm sure this New Year we have also 2 more holidays. I'm sure by Friday the movement will be higher.
This is Business Live with me, Emmanuel Abwaji Riafi. Let's take a breather here. We'll be back with more. Welcome back. It's now time for the interview of the day. Increase in oil production this year was cited as one of the key drivers for the growth of the economy in the third quarter ending September 2016. But with the departure of the FPSO Kwame Nkrumah by March 2017, oil production may suffer some setbacks. Could this have an impact on Ghana's GDP next year? Deputy Government Statistician Ban Wadie explains further.
The production of oil from the 10 fields and the repair of the SPSOs also contributed to increases in the oil output, the crude oil output. And these actually accounted for the increase that we are seeing. Apart from that, we mentioned that imports of cement, which is an indicator for activities in the construction sector, also increased. In fact, we recorded over 100% increase in the imports of cement, and that is quite substantial. And these also, so when we look at the general growth for the construction sector, we recorded something in the neighborhood of about 16.3% as compared to the same period last year, and that is quite substantial. With oil, we're saying that the entire economy, including oil, that has a base, or these give us different figures from the economy without oil. So that for oil, when we're looking at the economy with oil, we are looking at everything, all the value added in the economy with the inputs of oil. And we are looking at the situation over a 12-month period, that is the year-on-year. So that, for example, if you're looking at the third quarter year-on-year GDP growth, it means we are comparing the GDP growth for, say, the third quarter of 2016 with the GDP figures. We are comparing the GDP value or estimates for the third quarter of 2016 with the GDP estimate for the third quarter of 2015. And because the figure for 2015, when we're taking with oil, is different from the figure in 2015 without oil. They are not, the growth rates cannot actually be compared because the bases are different. I can't offhand predict that these growth rates and positions of the sectors or the sector rankings will either be maintained or will change.
Let's look at the contribution of the oil sector to the overall growth, and looking at what is expected to happen next year with respect to production on the Jubilee field. We understand there could be shut down for almost 3 months. Could that impact any way on growth?
Let that happen. I'm telling you that we will measure. Whatever the situation is, we will measure. So once these are like hypothetical issues, and yes, we don't want to go into these assumptions. We want to base any statement we make on the facts.
And that wraps up this evening's edition of Business Live. Thank you once again for joining me, and let's meet again tomorrow, same time, for another edition. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafe. Thank you for watching, and good evening.